Hey y'all, it's Megan. If you are returning to my channel, welcome back, and if you're new, welcome aboard. So today I'm going to be, I wish that I had done it earlier, but it's taken me a little while to kind of get my act together. But I did want to go ahead and do a little something to celebrate Black History Month while it is still February. So today I'm going to be talking a little bit about celebrating Black History Month with a little Disney. So the way that I'm going to structure this today is just kind of mentioning some Black influences, some African American influences on Disney in a couple of different categories and some different ways that African Americans have helped to shape the Disney we know and love. I'm not going to go into like a super big history for any of these people. I will go ahead and link down below where you can find more information about any of them if you are interested in looking more in depth into them. But I just wanted to kind of give you a little gist of who these guys are. So I want to start off with what is considered the first African American animator, and that is Floyd Norman. And you can actually find, it used to be on Netflix, it's not anymore I don't think, but you can find a documentary called Floyd Norman, An Animated Life, and it goes through his life, his history, and how he got to work at Disney. And Floyd Norman started as an in-betweener, which was, you had this scene and this scene for a movie, and he would draw this scene that kind of transitioned the two. That way you would, have a seamless scene play through. You had to have the different cells. So he started as an in-betweener for Sleeping Beauty in the 50s, and that was kind of his first foray into it. And he was actually part of a lot of Disney movies. He was promoted is a better word, and he was actually more involved in a lot of the processes from there on out. He was uncredited for the first 4 movies. He started off with Sleeping Beauty, and he also worked on Sword in the Stone, The Jungle Book, and then Robin Hood, and those 4 he was uncredited for. But then moving forward, when he kind of didn't work for Disney for a while, he did some other stuff, but then he came back to the Disney realm in the 90s, and he worked on a bunch of stuff. He started off with Hunchback of Notre Dame, which is, if you've been around, is like one of my movies. So Hunchback of Notre Dame, he did Mulan, he did the Toy Story 2, he's kind of getting into Pixar now. He did the Tigger movie, he did Dinosaur, which I just talked about last week, the attraction Dinosaur, and if you are interested in the history and trivia behind that attraction, I'll link that up there and down in the description for you. You can check that out. But he continued then with Pixar movies, and he worked on Monsters, Inc. He worked on Cinderella 2, A Twist in Time, is that what it was called? He worked on the sequel to Cinderella that came out in the early 2000s, and he also worked on Kronk's New Groove. So he's been active up until pretty recently. He is still with us. He's 85 right now, and still like kicking and being awesome. And he was inducted into the Black Filmmakers Hall of Fame in 1979, and in 2007 he became a Disney legend, which is pretty much like the height of, hey, I used to be important with Disney, or at some point in my life I've been important for Disney. So that's pretty awesome that he did get inducted. It took a little while, didn't it? I mean, he started in 57, but he got there, and we are very thankful to him for all of the great work that he contributed to some of our very favorite movies. Another Disney first for the Black community was Peter Ramsey, and you probably recognize that name because he was the director for Into the Spider-Verse, which was the first African American animated feature Academy Award. So he got Best Animated Feature for Into the Spider-Verse, which it's my very favorite Spider-Man movie of all time, and I was gonna die on the hill that I liked Tobey Maguire, but Tobey's he's moved up. He's also been a storyboard artist and illustrator for a lot of other movies and TV shows and everything under the sun for over 30 years. He hasn't just worked with Disney, but that's his contribution to Disney, so I wanted to mention him because everyone that I know loves Into the Spider-Verse, so we can really appreciate Peter Ramsey. Another African American influence on Disney that's kind of more modern is Bruce W. Smith, and if that name kind of rings a bell, it's because you've seen it written out a lot. If you ever watched The Proud Family back in the day, when he was the creator and the director, he actually based The Proud Family a little bit off of his own life, and he also, a little bit more recently, was the co-director for Hair Love, the award-winning short that came out, I think last year, don't quote me, I believe it was last year, and that is the cutest little short. If you haven't watched it, I know it's on YouTube. I'll link it down there for you so you can go check that out and see how adorable that video is, which if you've not seen it, real quickly, I don't want to spoil anything, but it's a quick little film about a little girl who her dad is helping her do her hair, and she's trying to, you know, love her natural hair, and it's so cute. Be prepared to cry, you know, as always. About 4 minutes in, I was just like, I'm losing it. So super cute. Make sure that you check that out. And he, you know, that's another thing that Bruce W. Smith has given us, and it's such a good little piece of animation. And I could not talk about Disney influences from the Black community without mentioning James Besquette. And he was more well known as the Uncle Remus character from Song of the South. Now, most of us probably have not seen Song of the South because, you know, Disney has kind of tried to brush that under the rug a little bit. But I did want to mention him because he was a pretty amazing guy. And even if I knew nothing else about him besides just that voice from Zippity Doo Dah, like, I would listen to that man read the phone book. It's just one of those beautiful, beautiful voices. But I did want to mention a couple of things about him. He was the first Black male performer to receive an honorary Academy Award. I say the first male because Hattie McDaniel was the first female. She was a few years earlier, 1940. She got that for being Gone with the Wind. And so he was awarded an honorary Academy Award, an honorary Oscar, for being Uncle Remus. And Walt actually petitioned and kind of fought with the Academy to try to get him to have an actual Oscar. He wanted him, he thought, you know, he was basically the star of this show. He wasn't the main protagonist of the story, but he was the star of the movie. Basically had no direction for the character. He just had passion, he had talent, and he just created that amazing character on his own with his own talents. So, you know, Walt and everyone involved was really pushing for him to get an Oscar, but he ultimately just got the honorary one, which was the last time that an adult actor received an honorary Oscar for just a single performance. Since then, honorary Academy Awards have been given for like lifetime achievement kinds of things, but that was the last time that an adult got one for a single performance. So I already talked about Miles and Into the Spider-Verse, so we got Spider-Man mentioned, but I wanted to talk about a couple of the other Black superheroes that we know and love. And Black Panther was my favorite before I ever even saw Black Panther. Just from seeing him in Civil War, I immediately knew that Black Panther was going to be my favorite of the Avengers, and so, you know, we all love Black Panther. And before then, we had some other Black superheroes, and Falcon was the first Black superhero. Did you know that? I did not. But Falcon was actually the first Black superhero, and he premiered in the 117th edition of Captain America, which came out in September of 1969. So that was when we had our very first Black superhero. And then the first Black superhero that was the title character was Luke Cage, which was in 1972. So a couple years later, then they actually dedicated an entire comic to that particular superhero. And then eventually, you know, we have grown and grown into the Black Panther era. Next, I wanted to mention some of the influencers. I hate using that term, but some of the online presence that you can interact with some of the Black community that's part of the Disney community. So a few of the Instagram handles, I will write them down here for you. That way you don't have to try to discern what I'm actually saying. I'll write them down right here. But Color Me Courtney is gorgeous and amazing, and just if you just want to be blown away by some outfits and some photos. She is awesome. Neverland Danielle is another fun one. Main Street Press, I've been following for a long time. They have a small shop, so if you are interested in supporting a Black-owned small business, that's definitely one to check out. Ray from Nowhere is some gorgeous photography, so make sure that you are checking that out as well. He's an awesome photographer. And Kirsten's Corner, she used to have a different gram. She used to have a different Instagram handle, but it's Kirsten's Corner now, and she is just like the queen of all things Disney bound. So if you're following along with the March Disney Bound challenge that starts next week, make sure to give her a follow if you're on Instagram, because she's sure to serve up some looks like she always does. It's going to be fantastic. And speaking of the Disney Bound challenge, definitely follow the Disney Bound Instagram account if you're interested. That's how I have come to find a lot of these great Black influencers and Disney accounts, is through them, because they just feature a lot of people. So that's how I've found a lot of the people that I follow, is by, you know, seeing the ones that are featured with Disney Bounds. A couple of my very favorite YouTubers that are part of the Black Disney community, sort of. They're not entirely Disney, but there are some Disney stuff. There's some Disney stuff thrown in there. Adande Swoozie, he was the first person that I ever followed on YouTube because he had the Confessions of a Disney Employee series that he talked about, but I just love him and his animation style, and his editing style just has gotten amazing over the past few years. So I definitely recommend following him. And for a little bit of musical just deliciousness, Todrick Hall, if you follow me on Instagram and you saw my stories the other day, like, you know I'm obsessed. But Todrick Hall is just everything. So definitely check them out on YouTube. But I do want to finish up with just one more thing, which is an easy way that you can kind of immerse yourself, for lack of a better term, in some Black culture and celebrating Black History Month via Disney Plus. So there is actually an entire category to celebrate Black History Month, and just to highlight a few, Soul is super cute. Princess and the Frog, obviously, everyone knows Princess and the Frog. And the Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella with Brandy has finally come to Disney Plus. So those are some that are like pretty obvious that are like Disney movies. But they also have on Disney, they also have Hidden Figures, which is one of my favorite movies ever. It's just an amazing movie. Even if you are just a female, just to see that kind of woman power is just like, it's awesome. So I can't imagine for my beautiful Black lady friends like how influential and how amazing that movie must feel on an emotional level. But I've actually just added Ruby Bridges as well to my list. I've never seen it. Came out in the late 90s and I've never seen it, so I've added that to my queue and I hope to watch that soon. But definitely check out that whole section on Disney Plus and give some of those movies a watch, and maybe some old favorites like The Proud Family, like Sister Sister, and That's So Raven, some things that we grew up loving and have maybe forgotten how much we love. Smart Guy. Oh my god, Smart Guy. I just rewatched Smart Guy. So that's it for today. I just wanted to take a second to highlight some of the Black influences on Disney throughout the years. Just a little celebration of Black History Month. And make sure that you are checking out some of the information that I'm going to link down there if you're interested in learning more about any of these people. So that's it for today. I would like to remind everyone that I do have a community tab on my channel. I am asking right now for you to share your stories with me of your experience in the parks or with a Disney Store cast member, or just any stories that you would like for me to include in a future video. I'd like to do a series where I tell your stories so that we can kind of share some positivity from the Disney parks and Disney interactions. So just a reminder that that is over there. And you know, if you have enjoyed today's video or any of my other videos, do go ahead and subscribe to my channel and come along with me. I do a lot of this sitting up here rambling with the dogs about all things Disney. So yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye y'all.